from the bottom, now we're here. Started from the bottom, now my whole team here. Started from the bottom, now we're here. Started from the bottom, now the whole team here. Started from the bottom, now we're here. Started from the bottom, now the whole.
What's up, Man's League? We are here with our champion, JP. JP, you want to say hi to everybody?
How's it going, guys?
We're going to be doing a little interview. JP, I do need to let you know that all calls may be monitored and recorded for quality assurance. This year, for our post-interview, instead of the how-to, we did a little questionnaire. So the Man's League, everybody kind of sent me a question. Most of them are football-related. Not all of them are. As you guys can tell, we do not have a shirtless JP. There was multiple requests. I did pass along your request to him.
Stay tuned. Watch the whole thing. Maybe.
All right, first question we got from the Graphsters. He said, what would Kanye say about your championships?
Oh, that's interesting. I mean, Kanye has had a different path through life than my team. My team is more of a Drake team. Started from the bottom with a pretty poor draft, and now somehow we're here. Whereas Kanye, actually, a little known fact, his mother was actually a physician. He was a successful music producer long before he was a successful rapper. So, like, he didn't really start from the bottom. Maybe he would say that my team was sort of full of underachieving dropouts who sort of got it together in the end.
Maybe cut you off a little bit halfway through and be like, but Cody had a great year. Cody had a good second showing. You know, he had a strong team. We can't deny those drafting. All right. I think we all know the answer to this one, but I'll ask it anyway. If you could keep any two players from your championship team as keepers and start the league off as keepers, and you have to start them every week until they retired, who would they be?
Well, it's a little bit of a nuanced one, so depend on the keeper rules. If it's round-based versus, like, it's automatically your first two picks. If it was based on rounds taken, it'd be pretty easy. It'd be Mike Evans and Landon Collins. I mean, Mike Evans would be a pretty solid pick in just about any sort of keeper league. Honestly, other than Mike Evans, in terms of offensive players, I probably wouldn't keep another player. Mike was definitely kind of the core guy out of the skill crew.
Oh,
I mean,
the guy was unstoppable.
Huge year. I mean, obviously, LeGarrette Blount had a great year, but now he's going to be in that timeshare in Philadelphia. I'm probably not going to get as many short goal line opportunities as he did with New England. So, probably Landon Collins, Mike Evans.
So, good one, Zach. All right, Caleb asks, since he does not know, what is it like to have pecs like Hercules?
I mean, well, it actually makes buying shirts a little bit difficult because, like, the thing is, you obviously don't want it so tight that you're doing a lot of pulling on the top buttons, and that can, like, you know, look weird, not look very formal or very presentable. But then at the same time, if you get your shirt that, like, has a bunch of room for your pecs up top, then it makes your whole body look kind of boxy and like you're out of shape and like have like a bad.
Which you're not, obviously.
Exactly. So you got to get like a real like trim tapered shirt. That's actually the difficult part.
Is that more expensive then? You got to buy these custom shirts?
No, I mean like you just got to find brands that actually kind of tend to cut them that way. So J. Crew has a pretty solid slim fit, they call it.
They call it. Is that John's Crew?
I mean, based on J. Crew's business numbers lately, I might be the only customer they have left.
For the guys that only shop at Costco, the John Crew coming at you with the custom chest cuts.
So, I mean, I think that's the real challenge is finding shirts that fit. And or occasionally, you might have bigger boobs than the girl you're with. So sometimes you got to think about that, too.
Yeah, that was a rule I had in high school. I wouldn't date anyone that I had a larger chest than. So.
You had a big chest in high school. That must have skewed towards a particular type.
I did well. All right, this one coming from Leo. Leo's asking, is it hard to be in New York when the Man's League is mostly in Minnesota? What do you hate and love about it?
Oh, I mean, I think obviously the thing I miss the most, hands down, is the people. Definitely miss like all the Sundays together, watching football, hanging out, throwing a football around in the backyard, that type of thing. With New York, the thing I do love about it, like, I've got like a really great crew out here, which has been dope. Got like a lot of cool people out here, and there's always just like some kind of amazing thing going on. Always just like the sickest places to go. Like last Thursday was just on like the 23rd story of this hotel, like this sick panoramic view of New York City. That type of thing is kind of amazing. And I think the great part about New York is it's such a like a time and place type of thing. Like I could never imagine like actually getting
All right, I'm
old.
gonna pause. Okay, we're back.
So I could never really imagine like getting old in New York. It's very much like a time and place type of thing that you want to do at a certain point in your life. But at the same time, well, I'm there now. It's awesome to be here. Definitely probably
So
won't
would
be
you
here.
want to be there until you're like 40, would you say, or younger than that? You'd want to maybe move back to Chicago or Minnesota?
I mean, I think like probably even in the next like 2 to 3 years, I'll start thinking about what's next. I don't know. Like, I mean, I might stay longer. Like if I met a girl who like wanted to stay, like, that might influence it too. But probably sometime in the next, I would say like 5 years for sure. Probably thinking about what's next.
Well, we all miss you, so we all vote you come back to Minnesota.
Well, I'm trying to work on getting a more like flexible work arrangement so I can just kind of work from wherever and can travel a lot more. So working on that. Fingers crossed.
Dream. All right, good question, Leo. All right, Mark asks, what is the one secret to your success that sets you apart from other teams? Well, Mark, he wouldn't obviously tell us if there was a secret that sets him apart from. We're playing with him. So let's just turn that into what's maybe something you try to do every season that you find works for you personally.
Well, something I did this year that was a little bit different from past year's focus that I think is pretty broadly applicable. Is, as I'm sure all of you know, Matthew Berry talks about kind of his 90-point rule.
Mm-hmm.
So when he's going in and building drafts, he looks at like how can I consistently get to 90 points every week.
Yep.
Now he's doing that for a non-PPR league with that doesn't have all the roster positions that we have. We have a few more. But I kind of worked out this year that like for our league, based on where we were last year, 130 points was kind of like that 90-point rule.
Yeah.
It's really focused on, because I realized pretty early on that I just didn't have the type of ridiculously stacked team that I would have liked to have, like maybe Leo did. But, I had some guys who were pretty consistently going to get me some form of points. I didn't have a ton of boomer bust guys. And so I tried every week to kind of get to 130 points and just focus on that because I didn't have guys who could consistently put up 140, 150, or that were really even a threat to do that. There's someone like Todd Gurley, who is definitely a bust for where I drafted him, but because that Rams team was so bad and had no other playmakers, every game he was going to get at least 15 carries, and he was probably going to get at least 40 to 50 yards, which meant that he was a pretty consistent threat to score at least 8 to 12 points. So all of a sudden that got me like pretty close. And so when I had high-scoring defensive players like Landon Collins who are going to consistently get me around 10 points, going to consistently get around 10 points from Alec Ogletree at linebacker, all of a sudden I have these guys where I can kind of look at guys who are going to consistently get me a solid margin of points and try and get to that 130-point mark. And I really think the bigger thing there is, just kind of playing the strengths of your team. So if you don't have a team that has a super high ceiling, look at what you can do to raise their floor.
Yeah, that's good. I was having a conversation with somebody at work, and we had talked about the importance of having someone with off-field problems minimized. Is that something that you look at? This is kind of my question. Is that something that you look at when you start drafting, like off-field shenanigans that's going on, or you just draft the best player available?
I mean, I would say yes and no, right? Like, I don't draft for character, sadly, obviously. But I do look at, like, sometimes it is an indicator of whether or not their head's in the game or not. Because a lot of times, if the guy's stirring up a lot of things off the field, it can mean that his head's not in the game, and it can lead to sort of bust games. Like, I think, a classic example, again, someone that in the right spot, I would certainly draft him, but a guy that you always think about is Odell Beckham. Because you never know when he's going to get frustrated, do something stupid, get himself suspended for a game, or even the Green Bay playoff game where, he had the whole going down to Miami, getting high with all the other wide receivers thing before that, and he came back and he didn't play well. He dropped a pass in the end zone. Those types of things are what you look at, and you kind of say, like, okay, still probably a player worth owning in the right spot. I'm not going to not take them, but then you kind of weigh that in as a risk factor.
So it is something you weigh in?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, good questions. All right, this is from Prue. What is the most surprising draft pick for you and the most disappointing one that you drafted on your team?
I think by far Todd Gurley was the big disappointment out of that group. I mean, in some ways you could maybe say that Doug Martin did less, but I think, like, I didn't really want Doug Martin where I had him. I just kind of felt like I needed another running back at that point in the draft.
Yeah.
Grabbed him for that reason, and I felt like it was a pretty high risk with him. with Gurley, I mean, being so young, being the focal point of an offense, and having looked so good his rookie year, I didn't think that there was that same type of potential for
Do you
this.
think it was more him or his offensive system that he was in?
Well, I read some like different like things on advanced metrics after. So with Gurley, I mean, the thing was obviously his line was not good, but even by a lot of advanced metrics, he didn't perform well. I mean, he had a very low like rate of like number of defenders made missed.
Yeah.
So anybody missed, he had a very low like yards after first contact. So again, like there were definitely a lot of plays where he was getting hit in the backfield or where there was no hole. And there were also games that I watched. Said NFL Sunday Ticket. I'd watch him in these games, and you know, like there'd be a hole if he would go like 2 feet to the right, but he'd just run right into the back of his line. Then and just stand there until someone's tackled him.
He's probably just used to getting hit.
Well, I mean, I almost felt a little bit like he's almost maybe more of like not like a gap-based runner, but more of like a one-cut runner.
Yep.
Like he's not in the right system, maybe. But he was definitely the most disappointing. I think the most surprising, a little bit of a toss-up. I mean, Landon Collins was a little bit surprised just how well he did. I mean, I did draft him, kept him on my team the whole year if I was going to be a good player, but I didn't think that he would certainly be one of the best safeties in the game.
Yeah, hell of a pick.
And obviously Mike Evans. Again, with Mike Evans, I did actually expect him to have a pretty big year. One of the things that I looked at with him was his rookie year. He had a ton of touchdown catches. And then in his second year, all of a sudden with Jameis Winston under center, that touchdown number plummeted to something ridiculously low, like 3 or 4 touchdown grabs. But the thing was, his number of red zone targets had stayed constant. His target share was through the roof. He had an ideal body size as a red zone receiver. He had a proven track record, having done it the year before. And now with a better quarterback in Jameis Winston, definitely an upgrade on Mike Glennon. Sorry, Bears fans. You knew that those numbers were going to rebound, and I had read that sort of red zone touchdowns for receivers tend to be kind of like any fluctuations tend to be very chance-based. It's more about the number of targets that you get, whether those actually convert to touchdowns is largely a matter of chance, but it's about getting the opportunity. So I felt like he'd be a strong candidate to rebound, but I definitely didn't expect him to be, you know, kind of a top 3, top 4 type wide receiver like he was.
Yeah. You know what I love about you, JP, is that you go with your gut, but behind your gut is a stack of research and information and just sheer effort of will. I love that. I love it.
Gotta love football.
Next question from our bartender Trevor. Fitting question. What is your favorite drink and why? What do you think it says about you?
Well, I mean, I actually have a few favorite drinks, so it's a little bit contextually based. So I've met a bar, and it's busy, and you just kind of order something quickly so the bartender can kind of move on, and they're just going to make up a basic kind of 2 ingredient drink. But in that situation, I have a go-to winter drink and a go-to summer drink. So my go-to summer drink is a gin and tonic. It's pretty light, it's pretty refreshing, clear spirits, doesn't give you as much of a hangover, which is good to have in the summer, and maybe you're going to be a little bit more dehydrated because of the heat and the sweat.
Again, the research and the reasoning, I love it. Even with the drink. My man.
And then in the winter, I like to go with an old-fashioned because it's kind of it's a standard drink. It's not hard to make, but it's also like a little more involved than like just like a whiskey Coke, something like that. Get that nice whiskey, kind of warms you up. Solid winter drink. What I really love, though, when it comes to alcohol is the thing that I love kind of in general about, like, going places, traveling, anything like that, is trying things that are new. So I always love to go to bars that have kind of an unusual bar program and that are trying to kind of come up with their own drinks and just kind of see what they've got. And thankfully here in New York, we've got some really crazy bars that try wild stuff. Like there's this bar in the East Village that makes a drink with avocado and chocolate in it.
What?
I've actually not tried that one because I don't like avocado.
What's the alcohol they mix it with?
God, I'm trying to think what it is.
It's gotta be something heavy.
I think it's some sort of like liqueur, actually.
Yeah.
So syrupy, something like that.
We'll have to have Trevor make you a specialty drink from Little Angie's.
I like that. He's got months to come up with it.
All right, last one here from the newcomer Sacco. How valuable is Peterson going to be with the Saints this year?
That's an interesting one. I mean, I think he'll have actually a pretty decent year. Obviously, Tim Hightower is gone, so he's still probably going to be kind of playing a little bit Tim Hightower role, where he's going to be more, I would think, the backup to Ingram. And the Saints also drafted that back, Alvin Kamara from the University of Tennessee. It's supposedly they're pretty high on him as well, but I think, I mean, they're going to try and protect Drew Brees as much as they can. So I think they're going to need a lot of carries to go around there. So I think he'll actually have a decent year because I think Ingram's usually hurt for at least 1 or 2 games.
Yep.
So that's going to free up some carries there. I mean, hard to know how quickly Kamara will pick it up as a rookie. It's actually a pretty good offensive line. And I think that actually showed last year with how much success both Tim Hightower and Mark Ingram were able to have. And then, the fact just they've kept Drew Brees upright.
So over, under 25 RB position, fantasy points end of the year.
I'm actually gonna go over.
Over, okay. Would you say top 20?
I don't think I necessarily would say top 20.
Yeah, I kind of got him right there, so I agree with that.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's all the questions. Mr. Champion, would you like to address your, what do you call, subjects? I don't know. Your peasants?
Just gonna say it feels great to be the champion. Looking forward to catching up with everybody. I think it'll be another exciting year. We've got some good rule and roster changes, so they're going to keep it a fresh challenge. Definitely make things tricky. It should be a really interesting year. A lot of kind of comings and goings. I mean, Eric Decker just popped up in Tennessee.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Marcus Mariota's got actually a ton of weapons now with Corey Davis, their first-round pick. Now Eric Decker, to Jay Sharp, going to build on last year. Rashard Matthews. They should be an interesting team. We'll see if I think there's going to be some really terrible teams this year, too. The 49ers look like a train wreck, at least on offense. I think their defense will be much improved. The Bears also just terrible.
Oh, dude, the Bears look awful in there. So that's good for all the rubes out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think Carson Wentz has a bunch of new weapons, too. I think it's really interesting to see who, out of the young quarterbacks, can take a big leap forward. I mean, Carson Wentz, Marcus Mariota, they both got a lot of new weapons. Actually, the same for Jameis Winston. And I think it'll be interesting to see if anyone of that group of 3 can kind of vault themselves into the elite tier. And then I think also just kind of watching and seeing, is there anyone in terms of, Breeze, Brady, Rodgers, is anyone going to fall out of that elite tier? Is age going to catch up to any of those guys? Are they going to kind of have sort of a Phillip Rivers senior moment, kind of start crapping out? So it should be a great year. Excited to see everyone in August.
Well, we are excited to have you. JP, always a pleasure. And for everybody in the league, see you at the game.
What up, boys? This is your champion. A little bonus coverage here by request from the commissioner. This bad boy, fantasy championship ring that we're going to be having going forward. It's actually pretty dope, pretty solid ring. And of course, for Tyler and the rest of you, here is the requested shirtless footage.